All right, thanks for coming, and it's a special weekend, right? Senior weekend for our guys, and last regular season home games for us. And Mun's been awesome. The crowd and the support we get, and even the Munsters that stuck around were on spring break and still had a pile of them there, and ton of noise. I know it meant a lot to our guys. And the first night we weren't good enough for sure, and I thought Ohio State was really good, and we had to be better. I thought the next night. I liked a lot what we did. We responded within the game, played how we need to play, executed on the power play. And we got to make sure we're getting to the end here where it's you don't have an opportunity to respond. You got to make sure that you're playing your best, and this group has been really consistent, and looking forward to going on the road to play a really good Minnesota team.
When you look back, is there any reason you thought Friday didn't go the way you guys would have wanted?
Well, I think you got to be careful too, right? I think Ohio State's a good hockey team, and they're well coached, and so I think everyone's like, okay, it's all us. So, for sure, a lot of it was them. They were on top of us. We didn't have much time or space. I do think noise. I think that's again our group. These last few years have done an awesome job, but you just get inundated and get hit with it every single day, and you got to stay disciplined of keeping your mind in the right spot. So I think there might have been some of that in there, and then when you do win a fair amount of games, it can be easy to lose a little bit of respect for what it takes for us to be a great hockey team, and if we're not firing all cylinders and working together, I think we're just an average team, So we got to make sure that you never. And these guys have done a great job of that. And obviously, I felt like on Friday maybe lost a little respect for what it takes.
Might not be the usual seasons we see out of Minnesota, but it's still a tough place to play, and they're still a team with draft picks, talent, all that. I wonder if this is a good test for you guys to go on the road before postseason.
Absolutely, yeah. No, a ton of respect for Bob and his staff, and I think they have a good team. And again, you look at our conference. Everyone's good. They got an unbelievable tradition there, a great barn, a tough barn to play in. It'll be loud, and that's what you want, right? You want to be in those situations, and same as any weekend in the Big Ten, right? If we want to have success, we got to be at our best.
I wonder with the depth of the Big Ten, there's a lot of reasons the Big Ten hasn't won a national championship, but I think of the week-to-week consistency of teams. I wonder if it helps prepare for the postseason to have teams like Ohio State that are still real talented, and there's not as much of a drop-off maybe.
Yeah.
Play week to week.
For sure. No, I think that's we're fortunate, right? Obviously, you can look at the stats, and obviously our conference hasn't done it. So I think it's hard to. It's single elimination is tough. You know what I mean? And there'll be years where you really like it, and there'll be years where we don't like it. You know what I mean? If and I think though that at the end of the day, you want to try to prepare your team as much. And I'm confident. I think all the teams from the Big Ten that make the tournament, just like all the teams, the 16 that make it, have a chance to win it. That's pretty unique in our sport, right? We start out in the Sweet 16, and literally every team has a chance to win it, and so you got to be our best. And one of these days, and hopefully it's this year, our conference gets it done. Because I think there's just too many good teams and too many good programs and too many good coaches and players for it not to happen. But we got to make sure we continue to have great depth in our conference, and eventually we'll win one.
The counting stats for skaters tend to back up the Hobie race a little more than the goaltending stats, and I wonder for a guy like Trey, who's a candidate for it, I wonder if the lifetime achievement side of things and what he's meant to this program, if you think that should play into it.
Yeah, I think if you ask anyone, right, I would think they'd probably all agree that he's the top goalie in college, right? And he's been really consistent. His longevity of being consistent too, right? And he's improved every year. I think one of the things I've always loved about Trey is, his numbers are good, for sure good. But if you look at the top five, he's not in there. But I think his ability to make timely saves is and that's what winning goalies do. And he's won a lot of hockey games, not just here, but with USA Hockey and growing up. So I know everyone respects him, and it is unique, with the goaltending position. The standard's pretty high. The numbers it's got to be right, and so. But I think you look at his impact on our team and how consistent he's been with our team and kind of how our team's performed. He's obviously a huge part of it.
With I guess to build off of that, the way he's performed, there's never been we were just talking about this earlier. There's never been an ego. There's no sort of entitlement or anything from him, and I wonder if that's the secret sauce, if you will, of him being able to year over year improve and sort of maintain that, right?
I'm a big believer in that. I think that's important, right? And I think that's, why Trey ended up here, right? I think that's what Michigan State's about. It's a low ego program. It's about the team, and it's the anti-arrogant, and I think Trey stands for all that. And I think that's when he got a chance to look around, and I think that's what he was looking for, right? And he certainly doesn't make it about himself. He's always about the team, and I do think he comes from a great family, super grounded. That's all about the team, but I think that breeds consistency, right? I think when you puff your chest out and think you're some type of big deal, you can fall pretty quick, right? And so staying grounded, and it stops from the highs and the lows, right? You're stopping everything, and then you have a tough night, and then the next night, it's a roller coaster where, if you look at Trey, I mean, very rare for him to struggle 2 nights in a row, right? And I think that's a byproduct of just what you're talking about. He's a low maintenance, low ego guy. It's about the team.
How do you manage the balance of being confident in performing, but also being humble in that aspect?
I mean, I think that actually the people that have true humility are the most confident, because I think that you can look in the mirror and understand that you're not perfect, right? And I think sometimes, people put on a front and a little bit of bravado, and I think having a quiet confidence is the teams or the players that really have true confidence. And I think that true confidence comes from humility that understands, hey, if I don't do these things, and if I don't take care of my body, I don't practice, we're not going to be a good team. I'm not going to be a good player. And if you do, a mistake happens and you have a little blip, understanding that that's part of this, right? And none of us are perfect. So I think the two are tied together. I think if you want true confidence, you have to have humility. And if you don't remain humble, you'll get humbled pretty fast.
With spring break, do you just keep everything the same, or do you alter your schedule at all?
No, we practice, whatever in the morning already. So keeping the guys on a routine. And, I think that as we talked to our group about it, right? You go on spring break, and the weather's starting to turn here, get outside, move around a little bit. You can't just, sit around and play video games. You got to stay on a little bit of a schedule. And so you can, your body are ready to perform at practice.
Adam, I know you said you guys don't really talk about the stats and, look at the leaderboard and stuff like that, but when you have that one game at a time mentality, do you know when that switches to, we have the opportunity to win the regular season again?
Yeah, no, our guys know. I think we've come to this point where the last 2 years, right, we've been in this spot. We had to go on the road and win to win a championship. We talked about that, and I told our guys, hey, like we're playing a really good team, and for us to have success and win, we need everyone's best. I mean, that's no different than any weekend, and this is exactly what you want, as you dream about as a program, right? Is going to situations on a weekend where you control your destiny, right? And we don't have to wait for anyone else. We got to go out and do it, but also respecting, hey, we're playing a really good team, and this is exactly what you want. I mean, it doesn't get better than this in this time of year, right? Essentially, it's playoff hockey for us here on out.
Where did you see Porter develop throughout the course of the year? I think of the goal he had on the power play. Kind of soft ice, the patience. It seems like he's taking some steps there in the finesse side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one is just playing with more pace, right? I think I remember watching him and driving and watching him play, and he definitely had it in him, but he maybe didn't have to do it, right? Didn't have to move his feet, and he's got such great vision that he could maybe stand and let guys come to him and kind of distribute the puck. And I think that's the biggest one for him, right? Is where he had it in him, but he play with more pace, and he had to get faster, right? And he had to get stronger. So he's done a great job in the weight room. I think in practice, just again playing with more pace. I think a lot of those things he's always had, but it was combining it. It can't just be not move your feet and make plays. The league he dreams about playing in, you got to be able to do both, right? And so I think the fact that he's moving his feet more has led to him creating a lot more offense.